Here it is, 2012, first edition of Chalk Talk 2012, and unfortunately, I can't give you the winning touchdown. Just off the fingertips, everything in play as the Seahawks had a really tremendous drive at the end of the game. Russell and crew drive all the way down the field, almost 80-some yards, get down, and as we all know, had plenty of shots at the end zone. I like to go to the fourth down play, and in many ways, I could give you the third down play because it was almost the exact same play. In fact, it was the exact same play. Personnel just changed a little bit. On third down, this was Charlie Martin in the slot, Sidney Rice to the far side. In my opinion, what they wanted to do after the second down incompletion to Rice was get old Patrick Peterson out of the play. So they move Rice over. Patrick Peterson is lined up against him. We all know what happens. He throws to Charlie Martin. He bruises his lung on the incomplete corner pass. So instead on fourth down, and there's been a lot of what happens when you lose, a lot of ripping of the play calling and ripping of the offensive coordinator. And I like to give Darrell Bevel, Tom Cable, Pete Carroll some credit to come back to this fourth down play where the ball is in your hands to win. And they did just a couple little things. And as you've noticed in these Chalk Talks through the years, it's not the glaring differences, it's the little details. It's the most minute of details that you don't always see the first time, but you look on it in film a second or a third time and say, wow. You know, we got exactly what we wanted. Pete Carroll told Mike and I yesterday that they knew what Arizona was going to do. By the time they got their seventh shot at the end zone, they knew what Arizona's plan was. It was to pressure, and it was to blitz, and it was to leave their guys one-on-one. And on the fourth down play, they do exactly the same. They bring Adrian Wilson off of one side. They bring linebacker off of the other side. They only have two down defenders, one of which is Calais Campbell, who is one of the tallest players in the NFL at 6'8", trying to disrupt the passing lanes. They do a little line game. They're just trying to force the issue and get as many guys into the face and into the backfield of Russell Wilson as they did and had success all day. Well, what does that leave you? It leaves you man coverage with everybody else. Your safety on Zach Miller, who releases. You have Peterson, and I'll get back to this. You have Peterson, who ends up on Charlie Martin. You have your linebacker, who ends up on Marshawn, and as he blocks, more than likely he was going to follow again to outnumber the box. You get Adams on Sidney Rice, and you get Mr. Gay, William Gay, on Braylon Edwards out there. You get your man coverage exactly what you wanted. If you watch this play closely and you go back to your DVR, what you will notice out of the play when the Seahawks come to the line of scrimmage, instead of Charlie Martin being in the slot as he was on third down, okay, they decide to move him across the formation, and in fact, Sidney Rice is about here when they get to the shot on the line of scrimmage and ends up here. And you can see some of the confusion actually of the Arizona Cardinals, because I guarantee you in their film room, they did not want Patrick Peterson on Charlie Martin on fourth down. They wanted Patrick Peterson on Mr. Sidney Rice in that slot on fourth down. And Sidney Rice could feel it. In fact, you could feel his body language after that play, because instead of Patrick Peterson, partly due to him being late to line up, and I think that is intentional, never coincidental, that he comes out and they're confused. And instead of flopping around and calling a timeout and running around, Patrick Peterson ends up on Charlie Martin, and you couldn't scheme it any better than to get your two receivers at 6'4" and 6'3" on Adams, who I don't know is what, 5'10" maybe, and Gay, who's a veteran player, on Braylon Edwards, and you have inside leverage. You see that? Inside leverage. Wilson knows it's man. He's seen the play, saw it beforehand. He knew exactly what he had, and he has Sidney Rice on that same bend corner, and he has Braylon Edwards coming in on the slant route. Everything you wanted, inside leverage. In fact, you can even see Gay hesitate for just a second as he looks at Sidney Rice leaving, creating more separation, more room. Ultimately, he jumps on the back of Braylon Edwards. Could have very easily been the third pass interference. I don't think they were going to call three of them. Russell Wilson gets a window. He didn't get the window on the last play. As the rush comes and hits him, he has a clear window. He has everything he wants as he throws it. The play is there to be made. The script is there to be written. The story is there to be told of the success of number 3 and the way he finishes a game. And instead, you get everything you want, the scheme, the matchup, the one-on-one, and you just can't finish in the end.